Hello everybody, James here for Feed Your Beast, and today we're going to make a real quick video on how I automate my bees. First we're going to start out here with the apiary. What you're going to need is a wood transport pipe, some type of buildcraft transport pipe, whether you want to use gold, cobble, what have you, and then an apiary's pipe. Apiary's pipe, how do we make that? Well, what you're going to need is propolis and a diamond pipe. Easiest way to get the propolis to begin with is to squeeze some honey, and you'll get that as a byproduct. Propolis, diamond pipe in the middle, get you one apiary's pipe. Now, what you can do, you want to put a wood pipe on one side, apiary's pipe on one side of your apiary. It's connected to, now you can do this to any side except for the top. And let's see here, we're going to want another transport pipe coming out, and then an inventory to store the items in. And now what you want to do, let's set up this apiary's pipe. Now the apiary's pipe works a lot like a diamond pipe because you see the colored outputs on it. So yellow's going into our apiary, red's going to our inventory. So let's click on, oh, how about we click it with something that's not stacked on it. Okay. So yellow into the apiary, red's into our inventory. So the yellow's going back into the apiary, so we want to set this to any bees. Red, we want to set that to anything, which is going to be any of your extra drones, combs, whatever your bees are producing. Now, last step is we're going to need to power this wood pipe, because as you all know, wood pipes are going to need power for them to work, to draw out of inventories. To start out with, you can use something simple like a redstone engine. Put a signal behind it, and it's going to start pumping things out once these bees producing. And there you go. You see the combs popping out, and since it's an anything item, it's going to go into your chest. Now, once the bees cycle through, your drones are going to be pulled around. If they stack like these are, it's going to stack up in inventory. Any ones that don't stack will go back into the chest. The queen will swing around, pop back into the top, and there you go. The only thing the apiaries can't do is you can't automate the frames. The frames, the author of this mod has eliminated that feature to where you're going to have to manually put the frames in, which is a good thing, because that if you could automate the frames in the apiary, nobody would use this big bad boy, the alveary. Now the alveary is just I'm going to consider it's a better way to do your bees. And the main reason is you can add things like this, which are called frame housings. What the frame housings do is, you see in the normal alveary heads up here, it has no space for frames. So in order to add frames, you're going to need to add the frame housing. Now, I prefer 6. Now, I've watched a few videos, done some research myself. 6 seems to be the magic number. Anything less than 6, you don't get the same production. Anything more than 6, it doesn't give you any advantage. So 6 is a magic number. Try it out for yourself if you don't believe me. Now, we're going to automate this in much the same way we did the apiary there. Excuse me. Apiary's pipe, wood pipe, gold, some type of transport pipe going into an inventory. Now, what I'm using here is an autarkic gate. Now, the autarkic gate has the ability to do an energy pulsar, and that's one right there, autarkic gate. You need to make that with your laser assembly table. Now, what we have this set to is redstone signal off, which means basically it's going to run anytime it's not receiving any signal, which is pretty much all the time. It'll add an energy pulsar, which works just like the redstone engine, and it'll pump things out of the apiary into your inventory or your sorting system. Now, myself on my multiplayer server, I actually pump everything out of the bottom, because this has got a lot more blocks you can pull from. So I like pull from the bottom. I have a whole bee processing area, and I pump it out into a applied energistic system, which also automates all my production of my combs. And I'll eventually show you that one of these days also. So that's how you automate the bees. How do we automate these frames? Well, what I found the easiest way to do it, we're going to take a router with a machine filter upgrade, and we're going to grab a fabricator, some wood pipe, And we got a chest here, so we should be good to go. I'm going to show you a really basic way to do it. You guys can get creative and do this on your own. But this is the most key component, a router. What routers do, they're going to be able to fill inventories. Great for if you're going to do a barrel sorting system, but the inventory's got to be connected. So it's connected to the inventory, all the frame housing are connected, so we're good to go. Now we're going to want to put a machine filter upgrade on here, so we're going to shift, click it. That's going to add the machine filter upgrade to it. So if you click this little button here, this takes you into, it's going to currently visit all the machines in the network. Well, we don't want it to do that. We just wanted to put it in the frame housings. Now, as you click through this and cycle through, it's not going to specifically say frame housing. Tile, alveary, 0, that's the whole alveary. You don't want your frames going in there. You want the second one here. Tile, extra B, alveary, that's the frame housing. I don't know why it doesn't say frame housing, but that's just what it is. So we're going to need to get a way to get our frames in there. I've currently been liking using a fabricator. You can do this however you like. I'm just going to show you this way for right now. So we're going to want to put a wood pipe and going to need to reverse that. Now we're going to want to put a inventory down here. We're going to want to set our recipe up for just a untreated frame. And then again, personally, I use untreated frames. The proven frames last longer, but the untreated frames are cheaper to build. Wood's not a problem, string's not a problem for me, so that's personally just what I use. So we're going to click everything into the inventory, and there goes the fabricator building the untreated frames. Now we're going to need to get a way to get it from the fabricator into the router. With normally people say, well, let's use an autarkic gate. Well, the problem with that, it's kind of like turning on a faucet with one of these things. It's just going to continually feed the frames whether it needs them or not. Any excess is just going to spill out on the ground. That's where your iron gate comes in to play. So we're going to put that sucker on there. Let's click it. And you've got two instances you can set. So the first one we're going to want to set is pipe empty. So we don't want it to shoot anything out unless the pipe is empty. And we also want to set it to space in inventory. So as long as there's space in the inventory, it's going to give you the signal as long as the pipe empty. So let's turn the pulser on. And you see there's something in the pipe, so that signal's off. And I think my frame housings were empty, so that's why it's keeping running. So we'll just let it fill up here. And eventually you should see the untreated frame is staged because the router's only got one inventory slot. Oop, be careful doing that. So now you see the gate is shut off because there is no more space in inventory, so it's going to shut off. It's not going to pull anything else out of the fabricator, so you're not going to end up with a bunch of frames all over the ground. But what happens, let's pull one of these out. Bam, automatically stuck it back in. Fabricator made another frame, shot into the pipe, put it into inventory for the next time it's needed. Very simple. Now you can get pretty creative with how you're going to create your frames and get it to your router, but you're going to need a router. Now I'll just show you another neat little trick. Oh, shoot, don't want to do that. Let's pull up a, say we have multiple alvearies. How do we connect those? Well, what you want to get a disk drive. And disk drive is very cheap to make. Let's just get the recipe here. Stone, redstone, very, very cheap to make. Now what you can do, just run them in the ground like this, build your other alveary right here. It's going to connect the inventories, but since you have the machine filter, excuse me, it's not going to fill the disk drives with frames, but it will fill anything that it's attached to. It's a neat way to kind of connect your inventories. You could do different things. You could probably do barrels, chest, anything that actually has an inventory slot that you connect them. And as long as you have that machine filter upgrade, it's only going to visit your frame housings. Well, hopefully this video has been helpful for you. If you got any more questions or like to know anything else about the bees, I've been getting pretty into those here lately, just let me know in the comments. I'd be glad to help you out. And as always, thanks for watching.